Hello everyone, this is Helen H and welcome to my channel, Moss Cottage. I hope everyone is doing well today. I have to apologize that I haven't put a video up for a while. As you can see from the title of this, my mojo has been very low and it's very hard. I don't know if you all have gone through this when literally no art, no matter what type, appeals to you. And that's almost happened to me for the last week. So I went to the library today and got this book. Check this book out, Collage Journeys by Jane Davies. It was put out in 2008. And it's not like I don't know how to collage or that most of us don't know how to collage. But I'm just using it as inspiration. I'm just looking at the colors and the papers and whatever to get my mojo going. You know, just like even like this right here, these pages, she talks about making your own painty papers, which is about all that I can muster right now. So I thought I would make some collage fodder. It is, the point of this is kind of like a masterboard, but I'm not using the term masterboard, and I'll tell you why. It's not a board. Most people, when they make a masterboard, put their stuff on a heavier substrate so they can cut it into cards or tags or ATCs or whatever. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is building some collage fodder for myself by just painting some backgrounds. I am using paper that I got from IKEA. This is children's paper. I don't know if they still have it, but they've had it for years, so I'd be surprised if they don't. This comes in a long roll, and it's for an easel. It's in the children's furniture section. If you look like where, I guess maybe where children's desks are and stuff, they have easels with the paper that they can just pull off. That's what this is. It's very thin. It is just a tad thicker than newsprint. So it's very, very thin paper. And that's what I'm using because this is going to be torn up and used in other collage, if that makes sense. I don't want something that is on a heavy board, a heavy piece of cardboard for this particular project because I don't want to use heavy cardboard in all of my collages. So this will be torn up and used as collage fodder. So you don't have to buy your own tissue paper. You don't have to buy your own pretty papers because you can make it. You can just slap, literally this is just some magazine paper, some paints, some tissue paper. I'll show you because we're going to make some more. I just wanted to make one to show you what we're going to do. And it looks like a hot mess. I get that. I totally get this is a hot mess. However, when it is torn into little pieces to put on another collage, it won't be a hot mess. It'll add some really interesting textures and stuff. So I'm going to put this one aside and we'll just make one or two ourselves. I'm not even measuring it. I just tore off some pieces off the roll. So what I did to start, I did go ahead and I put gesso down on most, not all, but most of the page. And I'll tell you why. If you're working with, at least if you're going to work with newsprint, which this underneath is newsprint, if you're going to work with newsprint, and sometimes you'll be lucky enough to get that as packaging from a store, they might wrap your glasses or something in it, or if you know a company that, or a business that uses the rolls of that. Newspapers, if you live in a small town, your newspaper may even still sell rolls. Ours did for a long time. You could get the end of the rolls because they'd sell them for like $2 or $3 and you'd get tons of it. But whatever, if you're using a thin paper, the reason I used some gesso on the background, and I don't know if you'll be able to see, it is not completely covered, okay? There are stripy marks and everything in here, but the reason I did that is because newsprint and this kind of drawing paper does absorb paint a lot, so it dries very quickly. And if you want to have colors blend together, which I did kind of here with some of the colors, you want that to slow down a little bit. The only other thing I can say is if you don't have gesso but you have glaze, of course you can mix the glaze with the paint because that also prolongs the wetness of acrylic paint so that it doesn't dry so quickly. Sorry about the lighting. I started this video and realized my ring light is over there and it's not on. I'm just going to go on. I'm not going to futz with it. So what I did was I just pulled out some colors of paints, and these are my uber cheap paints. I have some stencils. I have some watercolor crayons. You don't need all of this stuff. Just look what you have and use that. I've got some book pages, scraps of book pages. I have some tissue paper that I don't know how it got that way. It's all watercolory and whatever. So I've got some tissue paper. I have a doily, a watercolor doily. I've got a handful of magazine textures, like things I got from magazine backgrounds and stuff that are just textures. And then I have even some tissue paper that I painted on myself, painted and stamped on and everything myself, because I'm trying to keep these layers very thin. I don't want to build up thick layers. I'm not using anything on here that is too textured, because come time to tear it up and everything, I want it to be very loose. So anyway, I'm going to just go ahead. I hope I don't bump you here. I've got my brush thing there. I'm going to go ahead and I'm using just my cheap old Mod Podge gloss, which I hate because I don't like gloss at all. But I'm using it up, and I'm just going to slap on some text because that's what I have. Use whatever you have. But the fun of this is it's very low thinking, but it has two of my favorite elements to use when I have extremely low mojo. One is gluing paper to paper. That can help, and that's just so low stress, right? Just gluing paper to paper. And the other is scraping on paint, right? Those are like two of the greatest things you can do, scraping on paint or just painting very, loosely over things. But I think that this is going to turn out really cool and make some great collage fodder for other projects. And I actually have a couple collage projects that I want to do later in the week, so maybe we'll use some of this use some of this paper that I'm making right now. So it doesn't have to be, it can be all higgly-piggly, because remember, it's going to be torn up or cut up, whatever you prefer, into small pieces. So it doesn't matter if things make sense or not. As a matter of fact, the more they don't make sense, the more fun it is to actually make the fodder. But if you make your own fodder, then it's kind of your own artwork to be used in your own artwork. I'm not against using printed collage sheets or, scrapbook paper. Although scrapbook paper, I think, again, most scrapbook paper is almost like cardboard. And I think that's too thick if you're using it, just to tear up for collage fodder. You're going to be starting to add too much thickness to it. I want to keep these papers super thin, super thin. Oh, another substrate you could use would be deli paper, if you have deli paper. I don't, and I'm kind of a little leery about buying deli paper, because it just seems like to get any kind of deal, you have to buy such a huge quantity. And right now, I'm really trying to use up my stuff and clean up my craft room. So I'm just going to be doing what I'm doing here. Now, this here, I'm putting this tissue paper, this funky tissue paper I had, over the text, but I'm not going to try layer things on layer as far as the paper underneath, because I don't want to build up too much texture in there. So I might just... The other thing you can use is your little scrap bits like this. Remember, we have our little scrap boxes. Like, here's a little piece of doily. Let's go ahead and put that on. That's about as thick as I would go is a little piece of doily though. Because, you know, again, adding too much bulk. Okay. All right, so we add a little bit of doily, and you're like, yeah, well, you just put that white on white, you can't see it. Yes, but I haven't put the paint on it yet. I think the paint will show. Then I've got a little bit of this black and white. This is just some kind of office weight paper, but it's got some black and white, so we'll just add that for contrast. Just put some up here. And you know, this is so relaxing, just gluing paper to paper. And if I weren't making a video, I would do it very slowly and just really enjoy, you know, the process. On this one here, I didn't have any real black and white contrast, except maybe you can see a little bit of the text pointing through, but I did draw and stencil over it with black to add some contrast. I like that contrast. If you don't like it, then, you know, obviously you don't have to use it. So I have this little scrappy thing here, and I'm just going through looking for, okay, here's a piece of pattern paper, you know, sewing pattern paper. So I'm just going to put a little piece of that over here because it's super thin. Put that over here. And then I also have this. Yeah, so your thinner papers, tissue paper, pattern paper. This here is actually a piece of a napkin. So let's go ahead and put that on. And then we're going to call it quits for the underneath layer here. Well, let's say the second layer. The first layer was the gesso, right? So we have gesso and then thin papers, just hodgepodged however you want. Just a hodgepodge underneath. Okay, so then we've got this. And I can see this, I didn't glue that down properly. Now, if you don't glue down something and you're gonna put paint over top, usually it's not a problem because acrylic paint does work as glue. You can just get it underneath there, you know, underneath, and it will glue it down. So let me see if I can move that out of the way because I want you to be able to see well. Okay. This is the desk that I'm working on. That's the size of a postage stamp. So you'll have to excuse me if something goes off of the frame here. All right, so we're just going to get some paint on. I'm not even using my palette for these colored paints. I'm just putting the paints directly on my palette knife here. I would prefer to use and these are cheap, super cheap paints, so they're not pigmented. They are hardly pigmented at all. See how this little piece of paper came up? That's okay, because you can just put paint underneath and it will glue it back down. These paints are so super cheap. I want to use them up. They're great on the jelly plate though, because they are very fluid, but I want to use them up. So we're using up some of our scraps. We're using up some of our cheap supplies like paints and whatever, because this is a great way to do it. And making your own paper that nobody else will have. No two of your papers will be the same. And you can just build yourself a whole little library of fodder papers to choose from, right? I think we can all use a lot of paper for collage. You can even, this paper is thin enough, you can, once you're finished, you can use this for pages for junk journals too if you want, or art journals. So you see, I really have no rhyme or reason here. I'm just putting some colors down. Now I picked fairly light colors for these ones here because I thought later on I might go back with some brighter colors, which I did here on top. So I'm starting with the light colors because you can't add light colors over dark colors. They're just not going to show up. But if you want more layers, then go ahead and put your light colors down. And then, you know, you can always add your dark colors on top. So again, if I weren't making the video, if I was just doing this, I would take my sweet time and just watch what happens when the paints mix, because I am kind of repeating, going over some areas not, some I am. and just really enjoying painting this stuff on. So while I'm just working with this, I'll tell you, I went to coffee with my friend today to town. Then we went to the library, and that's where I checked out that book. And now I'm plied with coffee, so yeah, I got to do something. But my art mojo, like I said, has just been so out the window. Nothing that usually appeals to me. And I tried to watch all kinds of videos to get my mojo going. Look how that doily shows up now that I put a darker color on it. Can you see that? That little piece of doily there? Nothing was getting my mojo going. So I just figured I'm just going to do some very, very basic things. And then when these papers are dried and I'm happy with them, then I might start tearing them up and then just haphazardly gluing them to something and just see what comes of it, right? I think we all have these dry times when just nothing seems to appeal to us. And nothing like happened in my personal life. It's not like, you know, something's happened and, you know, and that's distracting me. It's nothing like that. It's just sometimes my art mojo just goes away. Now, I do have, let's go ahead and do some stenciling or something. I have some black paint on my palette here from the other one I made. Let's just go ahead first and let's just stamp on some black paint. So I'm going to add some contrast here in black, and I'm just going to paint this on because if you dab it in, a lot of times you get it. See how I got it like all in that crack there? Then what happens if you press down, sometimes that will just be a giant blob. And I kind of want some circles because, you know, who doesn't like circles? See, even this is very wet and it's coming out kind of blobby, but that's okay. That's okay. Cool. Okay. All right. And, you know, if you're working on, I have this big piece of newsprint underneath. You know, if you're working on a bigger piece under that, anything that goes off, of course, you're helping to create better on that background too. Okay, so I've got that black on there. I have my watercolor crayons here. And you can use whatever, you could use magic marker, you could use paint pens, you could use, although if you're going to use paint pens, I would definitely advise that you let it dry first. You could use, I don't know what, any kind of something you can scribble with crayons, for crying out loud. Get your kids crayons. Let's use the stuff that we have. I'm not against buying, you know, fun supplies, and we all like to do that, but we don't need to do that. As long as we can recognize that, you know, sometimes we don't need to buy stuff. We have stuff that we have, and especially if your mojo's low, I think the biggest mistake that you can make when your mojo is low is thinking that you need to purchase something to get your mojo back. I think it's much better to just make something, even if it's something just like this, you know, something really sloppy and very loose, you know, so that you don't want to buy something and find out that that's not going to do the trick, you know, and then you've got, what, one more supply you're not going to use, right? So I'm just, you can see I'm just kind of scribbling with my, I'm dipping them in water, by the way. You don't have to, but I like the kind of watercolory effect it gets when you do this. Just doing like this. So I'm doing this and I'm enjoying this immensely. I must say this has really gotten my mojo kind of, not fully back. I'm not like, oh great, let's just do all this stuff. I'm not there. I can't say that. But just working on these couple pieces is making me happy. Let's put it that way. Because what I should be doing is I should be gardening. And I think a part of my lack of see here I come in with some, I'm just coming in with just some spots of brighter color. I should be gardening. I have to repot my portulaca, which is, some of you might know as moss rose. I bought a pot from home that I need to put it in. And I have like I think eight blackberries that need to go in. And I'm just not in the mood today to do it. And I think today is probably the best weather day to do it. But I'm just not feeling it. So, you know what? I just recently turned 62. And I'm giving myself permission to say, well, I don't have to do it. The blackberries aren't going to die in the pot if I wait another day or two. And the portulaca is fine. It is in a pot and it's doing well. I just want to transfer it to a different pot. So that can wait. My friend who went to the coffee with me this morning, she's kind of having the same issue. Not art-wise. She's really good at art and stuff. But she keeps bees. And she's got to do some work on her beehives. And she just isn't feeling it today. And she was trying to make all these excuses why she shouldn't work on the bees today. And I was like, listen, sister, I totally get it because, you know, I am there too. All right, so I'm going to use my black watercolor crayon just because I have it out. You can use a Stabilo if you have Stabilo pencils. Just dip them in water. And I'm just making some random shapes on my paper here because like I said, I do like the contrast to have the black on the colors. But if you think it's too dark or whatever, navy blue is also a good color that you can add to, you know, your papers to make contrast. And, you know, just making marks, any kind of marks that you like, right? And I'll show you, like I said, hopefully later in this week we will do some projects using these papers. But if you don't have a project in mind right at this time, it doesn't matter because I think you can always use homemade painting papers. Like I said, when this dries, you could use this just as pages for a junk journal, right? Now, I do have a little bit of water pooling right there, so I don't want that. So I'm just going to blot that. And what happened was I blotted that mark right off, so no problem. I'm just going to put a new one on. There we go. Just because I don't want to take these too long to dry. And when I put my crayon in the water, I think I added too much water. So let's go ahead and put this one to the side to dry. Oops. All right. Where am I time-wise? Oh, we can do one more. We can do one more. Or at least get it started. So let's see. Let's use some other stuff here. Let's use some of this paper that I painted. This tissue paper that I made as collage fodder. Let's use this collage fodder on our fodder. How's that? Okay, let's get this one back. Put my black crayon away. Because when you have no space to work, things get lost very quickly because they get buried. So I'm trying to remember what all I did last week, and I can't even remember. I did work for my antique booth, which I always have to. Don't take that wrong. I love it because I am blessed that I can say when I'm at an auction or a flea market or a thrift shop that I'm at work, right? Because I am. So, but what I'm trying to say is I really felt I needed to catch up on a lot of that work. So I did a lot of that last week. And so that was that. And I just don't even know. I feel like I was so busy this weekend, but I can't even remember anything I did. Okay. So this paper that I'm putting on is literally just tissue paper that I painted on. I painted these circles on. And it looks like what I did was just use different shaped round objects to put that turquoise color on. I love that color, that turquoisey color. Okay, so just put some of that on. And see, this one, this is, I don't know why that's not wanting to stick. Okay, so it wants to fold over. That's the way it's going to be then. Because we're not too precious about this. Let me get some of the black paper that I made here. Here's a good one. Here's a, this is just tissue paper that I painted black on. And this is also great collage fodder. So, I mean, I can use these tissue papers directly on a collage, or because they're thin enough, you know, I could use them on a project like this to make some collage, I don't want to use the term masterboards, but some DIY collage papers, let's just say that. I do like to make masterboards, but at this time I just don't have a project to use them for. So, but that's also actually something that you can build up a supply of, because if you make junk journals or anything, you can always use it, because you can make cards, tags, pockets, you know, covers, journal covers, all that with masterboard. Okay, so that's that one, and let's see what else we have here. Oh, I have this one. This is a stamp I actually made myself. I just used a piece, obviously, of rickrack, and it was a thick piece of rickrack, and I just glued it to a piece of cardboard and made a stamp out of it. So this is actually rickrack, my homemade rickrack stamp. See, this one's kind of looking completely different than the others, which is good, because you don't necessarily want them all to look the same. I don't even know which way's up on that one. It doesn't really matter. Which side is the painted side? It's acrylic, so it's not going to run or anything. Okay. I think for the tissue paper, I only made black and turquoise. But I think it would be great to have a whole selection of tissue papers in different styles, in different colors, and maybe that's something I will do on my own. You know, I wouldn't put you through that torture, but that might be something I'll do. Oops. Okay. Like that. Okay, so that's a good start right there. So let's see, let me go to my magazine images here. And the reason I'm using the magazine images is because they are very thin. You know, I wouldn't go very thick with that. And I wouldn't use papers from a magazine like, like a tourist book. You know, a tourist guide or something, because I do think that those might be too heavy. Some of those ones have really nice glossy like pages that are very heavy. This is just cheap magazine. I think this is even a real simple magazine. So it's thin, cheap paper. I hope you can see this. So just gluing things and painting things is such a great way to get that mojo back. And I know, I actually know a couple people who are kind of going through the same thing. And a lot of it, I think we've identified, has to do with wanting to be outside and work in the garden when it's so nice, you know, not to be inside, or even not even just working out on in the garden, just being outside when it's so nice. Here's a piece. This is, I don't know if this was makeup or something, but it's very colorful, and wherever it rips is where it rips, and that's the shape it's going on here. Yeah, because besides planting stuff, because I have two sets of plants. I've got one here at the cabin, and I've got one at my other house. So I've really been planting a lot. And it kind of, after a while, you kind of get tedious, especially here at the cabin, because it's not like, oh, I think I'll just go and plant these. If you've ever tried to garden on a mountain, you know, you are going through rock. You literally have to get a crowbar to pry rocks out and everything to make a hole. So it's a big stinking deal when you have to plant up on a mountain. All right, let's see here. We'll just try one more piece of paper and then we'll get some paint on. Here's some interesting papers. These are from a quilt book. Oh, no, sorry, a quilt magazine. And I'm going to stress magazine because the pages are very thin. Okay, there's a sound I haven't heard before. I have no idea what that is. Oh, yes, I do know what that is. They are putting high-speed internet is going up higher on the mountain. We are the last house on the mountain at this time to have high-speed internet through fiber optics. And anyone higher on the mountain in Virginia did not have it, and no one in West Virginia has it. But not through the phone line anyway. They're working, and that sound I'm hearing, I think, is one of their trucks backing up. Because I'm like, we don't have bells on the mountain. What am I hearing? All right, we'll put one more piece of this on. And you can see I'm just putting it wherever. Oh my gosh, see, now you can't even see that. I apologize. Anything on that side, ugh. All right, well, we're done with the paper. I'm so sorry about that. And you're like, what? We can't even see anything. That's better, I think. I got to keep it up there. Okay, so let me go ahead and just put this up. And the reason I'm covering things is because I tend to put my brushes and stuff in the wrong thing. My drinking water is over there, and I'm being very careful not to put anything in that. So let's go ahead and get some paint on this one. Again, I'm just it's me. If, you know, whatever are your colors that you want to use, I'm just using some light colors on the background because I'm adding the contrast on the top, you know. But if you want grunge and you want everything brown and black, then, you know, whatever. Let's go with this peachy color. Oh, I was so lucky this morning because we sleep. I always like to sleep with the windows open. And here it's cool enough that I can sleep with the window open all summer. Well, this morning, I think at about, must have been maybe around 4. I don't know. I didn't look at my clock, but it was still dark. But the whippoorwill was just singing his little heart out, and he sounded like he was right in my back here because it was loud. It was louder than I've ever heard him before. And I just get this sense that when he sings that everything's okay. When he's not here, when I don't hear him, usually the last thing I do in the evening before, you know, my husband and I will watch Netflix or something is I will sit on the porch to make sure that I can hear them. And if you don't have whippoorwills, they will only sing early in the evening, or like at evening when it starts to get dark, like when it starts getting really dark, and then they sing in the morning before it gets really light. But yeah, this was about 4, I'm guessing around 4 o'clock in the morning. And yeah, that made me feel like everything was good. Okay. Oh, this is so fun. Guys, just do this. If for no other reason, just to give yourself a nice, I know you can't see that, a nice stash of painty papers to have for collage. Okay, let me just get one more color here. Let me get a red or a brighter pink. No, you know what? No, I'm not going to use paint. I have my watercolor crayons right here. I can use that. Yeah. Just because it gives a different it gives a different kind of look than the paint. So it gives one more different element to your collage paper. Okay. This way. I can even make some circles with this. The circles all don't have to be dark. I love circles. Okay. Alright, let's see what other color. Let's use this. I think this is like a teal. I can't read that color. I don't have enough light. So I apologize to you guys, because if I can't read it, then this video is probably too dark. So we're going to make some teal circles, and we're going to make some, pull this over so you can see, we're going to make some tealy colored marks. And it's slightly different from that color there. So it does add a different color. Okay. And another thing that you could always add, you know what? I'm not going to put black on this one. I'm not. I'm going to let this one be as it is. It does have the black already in the background where I added that tissue and stuff. Let me put this away and get my original one that I didn't work with you. This one here. Because another thing that I like to add is pencil marks. Just I'm going to put it in my non-dominant hand, my left hand, and I'm just going to do some scribble with the pencil. Some pieces will have the pencil and some won't, because I'm not going to put that much on it. Okay. And you can also do the same with pen. This is a gel pen, I think. So let's go ahead and put some of this on too. Just some random scribble. Or you can do the asemic writing, which mine doesn't even look like writing. It just looks like total scribble, but that's okay. Can you see that? Whoops. I know you can't see that because my fat hand's in the way, but I'm just scribbling, really. Just putting scribble writing on. And, you know, this kind of stuff, using the crayons, magic markers, pens, pencils to scribble, is not adding anything to the thin, you know, the thickness of the paper. So it's still nice and thin paper for collage. So that's it, guys. I'm not going to bore you anymore, but that is some good paper right here that we've made to tear up. And like I said, hopefully later this week I'll put up some videos and we'll actually use some of this paper. I have one project that I think is going to be really fun, something I've never done before. It's a Pinterest play. And then I also have my collage journal here that I haven't worked in forever, so maybe I'll use some of that and we'll do some collage in a collage journal. So guys, I hope that this inspired you, especially if you've got low mojo right now, or you just don't know what to make, or you know, you just said, well, you know, I'm tired of all my supplies. Then make new supplies. Make yourself a stash of this great painty paper that you can tear up. And again, keeping it nice and thin so that when you use it, it's not going to add too much bulk to your collage. So guys, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I ask that you do. And until the next video, I hope all of you are truly blessed. Bye-bye.